Yeah, it's true. Invite only.
God dang it! I swear I had a USB hub in here somewhere, but I cannot find that thing.
You all, how many devices do you have hooked to your machine?
4 right now. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. One's my Wi-Fi dongle, one's this headset, one's my backup drive, and the other one is another backup drive.
See, this is one of those moments where I think maybe Apple's so far ahead of the curve that they're a little too far ahead. Like, I don't understand on how the MacBook that they can just eliminate ports. I'm like,
that's pretty drastic.
You got to give me USB. I mean,
yeah, that's pretty drastic.
I mean, like right now, I've got this microphone. I had before, it wasn't working for some reason. I had my Bluetooth headset. I've got my HDMI cable hooked up. I've got a lightning port adapter for my network cable, right? I mean, like, and a headset jack. So I don't, not to mention the power cable, which on the MacBook, that was at the USB-C or whatever, that connector, you only have one input, and I'm like, well, I'm out. I can't use that at all.
So are they selling some kind of external thing that syncs or something?
Well, I mean, I think they have like an adapter with like a hub or whatever, but I've seen some third-party stuff that actually just sort of plugs right into the side of the MacBook and provides support that we call it like a docking station almost, So I don't know. I think that they're a little bit too far ahead of the curve on that one. I mean, I understand where they're going because Bluetooth headset and Bluetooth this and Bluetooth that or whatever, but I'm not there for. I don't think people are there for hardware like hook into a television or hook into a microphone or whatever.
Yeah, I would imagine that. I mean, a lot of those people are probably just grabbing it, throwing it in their backpack, going, doing a few things, moving on.
Right. Yeah. Well, I will see what they do with the iPhone 7 because it's rumored that they will eliminate the microphone jack in favor of connecting via the Lightning port.
Oh man.
Yeah.
They don't stop, man.
Yeah. Which I don't know.
I mean, there's two ways to look at it. In one way, it's like, there's obviously tons of technology that hasn't been released yet just because they don't want to like have a bunch of this stock just sitting around of recent technology. But still, man, that's moving quite quick.
Well, and the article that I read said that one of the things that they'll be able to do if they move to that is they'll be able to move data back and forth on that same wire. Whereas right now, so you're basically making the switch from analog to digital.
Right. It's kind of like HDMI cable with audio and video.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
seems like Apple's a little sour that FireWire never really took off.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked FireWire except for
FireWire was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was super fast except for the cable was it was really thick.
Yeah. Could get out of jail with that.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be a benefit to be able to pass information back and forth across the wire. You'll be able to do some interesting things with it. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, I can't say that I will miss wires if they entirely disappear.
Oh, right.
But I do have to say that, when you have a lot of devices that are bouncing from Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and whatnot, like sometimes you run into problems and it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Even the, I don't know what happened, but the Apple TV AirPlay used to work great. I used to, shoot stuff to the television and play a video and no problem whatsoever. And then at some point, it seems like I don't remember what version of what, but now it's hit or miss. And sometimes the video is choppy and or it stops and starts, or it just stops altogether, and you're just like, I know it was a huge benefit, and now that it's gone, it hurts even worse, right? I mean,
and now you miss your DVD player that you threw away.
Yeah, right. We do have a VCR tucked under the
bed. That's where mine is.
We have it. We actually have it under the entertainment center, like
Oh, okay, right.
shoved up under there. And the only time that we brought it out was when we were going to watch Christmas movies. Right, we're going to watch
Right.
Charlie Brown's Christmas or something. And since then we've bought stuff on either Amazon or Apple, through iTunes or something.
Of course, yeah.
And now we're like, well, that thing's just destined. It's like one more season and it's gone.
Right. Yeah. No, we got, we have like a bunch of storage boxes of VHS tapes because we were collecting movies back in the day. So we have to keep that little spare guy just in case.
Right.
It probably doesn't even work anymore. I haven't pulled that thing out in a while.
Well, we got to the point where it was so fuzzy.
Right.
Watching when Harry Met Sally, that for the 1 millionth time, we're like, okay.
Well, because I'm assuming you're watching it on like an HD TV or something, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And so it just gets all those VHS fuzziness in it. And
looks great.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this is 10 times worse than it was when I used to watch it.
Yeah, we watch. Every year we like to watch Grumpy Old Men. It's kind of a holiday movie, and
didn't they just come out? No, it wasn't something else.
And it got to the point where we just almost couldn't see it just because it was grainy. And then we got the digital version of it, and we were like, wow.
Whoa.
I mean,
there's actually people in this movie.
Yeah.
Not just shapes.
Yeah, exactly. Moving color. Yeah. So, I think it's important to move forward with technology, but it's got to make sense.
Yeah. I think cost is going to be a big issue too, and as the future progresses. I mean, some of the stuff I just got really into. I got a Tap, an Alexa, Amazon Tap.
Yeah.
And a couple of these like new wireless plugs and stuff that you can like plug your stuff in and then tell the Tap to turn it on and off. Blah blah blah. Pretty cool stuff, man. It's the future.
I actually debated on that because my wife wanted a speaker, a wireless speaker that she could, play music from her iPhone.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe I'll get her one of those because then it'll hook to Amazon, and then she can maybe pull from a music service or whatever. But I wound up just getting her a standalone wireless speaker. But I looked at those for a while.
That's cool.
I like the fact that it's always listening.
Well, actually, I actually yes and no on that for me personally, but the one that I have is the Tap. So it's not always on. You have to push a button. It's the cheaper model.
Gotcha.
And the only one you can get in stock. Well, at the time. So basically, it's the only portable one. It has a base that it charges on, and then you just take it around, Bluetooth it with your gear. But the other ones are not rechargeable mobiles, so those have to be like, especially the tiny one, like has to be plugged into your stereo and all sorts of weird stuff. So
yeah, and that was one of the things I don't remember I don't remember the brand that I bought her, but it was it's a very portable. It's got a 15-hour battery life, and
nice.
It can actually fit in a bag, and it's got like I think it's not waterproof, but it's water resistant, so you can take it outside and stuff like that. So
there's a lot of interesting stuff out.
Yeah, and it has an app that you can control it with, and you can hook up to like 8 or 10 other speakers.
That's cool.
Of course, it's an expensive endeavor because I think the speaker's like $150, but
right.
But you can hook 10 of them up there. Come on.
If you don't want a car, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's cool. So have you noticed any difference in your audience base since you've switched to this? I mean, as far as like, are you still getting the same amount of people, or are people just going ahead and switching over to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people were either subscribed through iTunes,
right?
And downloading it and listening to it on their commute or whatnot, or they're watching on YouTube.
Right.
right? And they're not watching it. They're not watching it during the time that we're recording it.
Right.
They're usually watching it later, and so that hasn't changed. So
Cool. Excellent. Yeah, I'm always interested. Some people, when you introduce a new platform, you always get people kind of scratching their heads like, well, do I really want to put this on my computer? Like, what is this? I've never heard of it.
yeah, and well, unfortunately, I mean, like you're saying there, from the consumer standpoint, people are still using iTunes, still using YouTube. They're still getting it the same old way that they got it.
Right. You're just broadcasting it differently.
Yeah, it's just the panelists. I'm like, hey, let's use Zoom, and Zoom. The setup for that. I mean, you guys can tell me what you think of it, but it seems like it only takes a couple minutes, maybe a couple of seconds. I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, embarrassingly, that it used to take me like 5 to 10 minutes just to get on the Google thing every time. And I would get so burned on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it would be like, it would open, because I have 3 different Google accounts. I got work, I got development, and then I got my own personal one. It's like, and those would get confused, start opening up the wrong Hangout, and man, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yes, this was a much smoother operation. I just downloaded, clicked it, and there I was.
I tell you, it's interesting to see, because I really did think that Google Plus was going to be this big thing. It seemed like Google was finally kind of getting their act together in terms of social media, and even though I knew they weren't going to be able to go head to head with Facebook, because Facebook already had sort of brand recognition, and they were already kind of ahead of them in terms of user base for social media. That is, I figured they'd just sort of come at them from the side, right? You'd hook up with Google Plus, and then you'd get your Google Docs, and you'd get your, before you knew it, you were just using all of their services, and which has happened in some respects with just through search. But I thought they were going to kind of do that, take that route with social media. But now it's just like, I mean, even on the Corona Geek Google Plus channel, the page, there's like 677 followers, and that's just like, it only increases by maybe 1 or 2 people at any one time. Whereas Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, you're talking 20 people.
Yeah, you're getting hit all the time.
Yeah, it'll increment by 20 people, and this one, Google Plus will only increment by 1. Like, it's just.
I tried the Google Plus thing. When they first came out with it, they really, in my opinion, really blew it on the UI, because that just like immediately, when you're sitting here digging for stuff, you give up quick when you know Facebook already. So you're like, well, I'm not going to try to dig around for this. I can just go over here.
Yeah.
But I mean, it has gotten better over time. But I just didn't get traction. Sometimes I think Google is just too much of an inward-looking company, and it's just not going to work in social media.
Yeah. Did you guys see the F8? Speaking of which, did you see the F8 developers conference? Any of the stuff that came out of that?
I did not. I have been swamped.
You're working on cloud stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
massiveness.
Here's the thing I think you would be interested in, and that is messenger bots.
Oh yeah, that's the big thing right now.
That's the big thing, right? So.
Oh yeah, I made some on HipChat. I made the bot for the forums on there, and then I have my compiling bot that runs on Slack, so people know when I'm working.
Compiling bot? What is it?
Oh, it just it tracks all my commits to the Bitbucket. Mm-hmm. So it shows, every time I make a commit, so people know.
Yeah. And that's Slack has webhooks for that, right? I mean, aren't those? Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's webhooks. But you get the webhook. Like
did you customize it?
Yeah. I just threw up one of my little Corona thing or Chromium things and use that. So it was simple. Then I decided, well, Chromium's kind of a big piece just for this. So I created a little tiny server called the Alexa server that will that you can do webhooks with that will also integrate with your Alexa devices and like all sorts of weird stuff. But it's like I can start that stuff, but then it just kind of sits and I got to work, and then I tap on it a little bit more, and so probably by the time it's ready, the voice activation stuff will be done.
Yeah.
So Chris, is that more of Internet of Things type of idea that you're working with there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny, obviously I notice a lot of people take a kind of a, I don't know I know what the word I'm looking for, but I'm not finding it. Anyways, some people, seem to believe in IoT, and some people just seem to think that it's a fad. And I think IoT, just some of the stuff I've been playing with, it is not going to be a fad, and some of the stuff is revolutionary. I don't know if you ever heard of the Fitbit. Like, that thing is amazing. My wife started using that. It's just like these things are actually like can actually change your lifestyle, like the way you actually use your time and stuff. And even I got a Fitbit too, because I spend so much time sedentary in a chair that it's like, you need to be reminded that you got to get up and move around and go, walk some steps. And it's too bad that I have to have a piece of technology to remind me of that, but it's helpful, and all those things are just going to increase. It's like, the fridges, which are kind of ridiculous and expensive, were just like announced and released for the cloud stuff. And then on the Amazon is just releasing their first third-party company who's using Alexa voice service for a board you can stick on front of your refrigerator, and you can have it talk to you. You can tell it you need milk, and and that's just the beginning. It's going to just keep growing from there. So yeah, my side projects, as I have time, have been very focused on IoT, and because I really think that is the future. And so the Alexa server is basically, I don't know if you've ever seen a project I worked on for a while called Chromium Ace, which was also kind of an idea of making a simple API server. So basically I took some of that and then some of Chromium, mixed them together. And so basically it's like a very simplified way to build little APIs for your IoT devices. So one day I'll actually release it.
So Chris, are you playing around with the Arduino or any of the, kind of the devices out there that you can actually make your own little?
Yeah, I haven't played with the Arduino, but I have 3 Raspberry Pis.
Okay.
And I just got the new Raspberry Pi 3. And the Chromium Ace actually has a Raspberry Pi version. And I added all the modules for like the IPC and all the ports on there. So yeah, there is I've already started a project on that like last year, and then kind of moved on from there. But yeah, I'm into this stuff. I just don't really have the time right now. I want to try to incorporate, as I'm working on Corona Cloud, the big thing is, just kind of looking at long-term integrations and knowing that there will be new devices and there will be new ways of connecting to things, and and they may not be here yet, but they will be, and so I'm trying to make it so that it can grow with that, and so yes, I am very interested in IoT.
It's kind of interesting how each person has their own unique interests and things get them excited. Some people are, really into graphics. I know, Steven Johnson really likes shaders and these different types of things. And I've always, like you, Chris, I've always kind of liked the idea that I can do something on my computer. I can reach out across the network, however far away, and I can touch a server and have it do something.
Yeah.
And then just know that like somewhere, somehow something happened. And then,
something's happening. Yeah.
I remember back years ago, I made what do you call that? A voice XML application,
Oh yeah.
Yes. And there was this free service. They had like a developer kit, and you would hit a Microsoft server, just a
Right.
web server. Okay, so yeah, so your application. Hold on, sorry. So you call a number that you would be talking to their voice system. Then that would make a call to your web server, pull database out of the data out of the database, and then send it back to their voice system, which would then read the information to you. And
Wow. How long ago was that?
I think that was probably 2003.
Wow, because that's basically exactly what the Amazon thing is doing. So
Yeah.
that's, obviously it's not that new.
Yeah. It's
Better recognition, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a lot better these days. But what I was using it for at the time, I had built a system for a client who did scheduling and managed all of their employees off of the system, and this was back, everybody just had. I mean, they were still using analog phones. The phone systems hadn't even converted over to digital yet, but
fax machines.
Yeah, so there was no smartphone or anything like that. This was even kind of pre-pocket PC sort of stuff, and so the employees would just call up. They would put in a PIN, and then based on that PIN, it would find their work schedule and it would read them the next 3 jobs that they were scheduled to work.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that was cool. But I was so excited about that. Just this idea that I could make this system talk to that system. Yeah. Somebody on the other end would get some kind of benefit out of it.
That's so cool. So was that SSML? Is that what you programmed it in? Is that the speech XML, or was it just regular XML?
I think it was just VXML or something, voice XML. Huh. It was like Tell Me Studios or Tell Me something like that. I probably wasn't supposed to be using the developer account to do that, but it was such a small group that there was no volume to it.
Well, they know now, and hopefully the statute of limitations is over.
That's right. Funny. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I've always been fascinated by server stuff, and that's one of the things I like messing with Corona is getting something on the screen is cool, but then also creating an app that your phone reaches out to an external system and and gets information back or interacts in some way. That's the thing that I'm actually interested in.
Yeah, I was just thinking the other day when I was doing some testing, and I'm like, man, I don't think I've thrown a graphic in Corona in like a year. It's like, cause I'm just working through the command line, and all I need to do is just launch the player. So it's funny. I got no skills anymore.
I know we do a lot of like it'll come on and he'll say, here's how, we're worried about, how something behaves between frames or something like that. So there's a lot of focus on making sure that things look right or things act right or whatever. But, sometimes I have fun just put, like I say, just putting something together that has nothing to do with graphics, has nothing to do with displaying anything.
Yeah, and especially if you've got, even an inkling of server background, then it's pretty darn simple.
Right. Well, I think the big thing is I think I need to emphasize that more to people. Like, just put together, like, I don't know if you guys ever remember the back in the day the text-based Zork.
Oh yeah,
you remember? You put in the commands, and then it told you something.
I wanted to make one of those kind of games for Corona.
Yeah, but that all text based, interactions. So.
I was thinking of an idea of like a text based game, but then obviously backed with like Corona or something, or Chromium or something, and have it be kind of like a huge player world. Like people could kind of like, you could see if other people were in that like space, and you could have people create items. And then of course, just like Zork, those old school games where you'd be like, look up, look here. And then you could see stuff and do your inventories. But there actually are quite a few interesting, I don't know if you've seen. I think they're on the iPad too. It's like these. They're word-driven games, but then they also like kind of they're really pretty. They're like a book, but then they also merge in like some RPG elements. So you actually do like, you can like level up and do these certain things, but it's all in this context of this, it's kind of story driven, text driven game. And they've done a couple different ones, and it's interesting. It's an interesting concept. It doesn't seem like it's huge market, because probably a lot of people just want to flap birds, but for people who like to read, it's cool, interesting stuff.
There's a soundbite right there. For people who like to read, it's really interesting stuff.
Hey, some people really don't like to read.
That's true. That's true. Well, we were talking about bots earlier. One of the things that I thought, of course, the demo for Facebook was like showing you a T-shirt, and then you tap on the T-shirt that you want, and you tap on the size that you want, and on and on until you actually finally make a purchase. And I was looking at it going, ooh, that would be a cool way to make a game.
Right.
Drive it through bots, and then people could make it would be like a choose your own adventure, but it would be all maybe even static images or
yeah. Yeah, man. You can use my bot server, my Alexa bot server.
There you go. So how would you so Facebook gives you the API, but then you're using your own like the example that I've been playing with has been using Meteor. So you're really pushing information back and forth between the servers. So you're saying you just use Alexa, and that would all be in Lua?
Yeah, it's a derivative of Chromium, and that is all in Lua. Yes. Yeah, I noticed that. Like, so on the Facebook one, do you have to go through like your own server first, or do you just hit Facebook directly with the bots?
Well, so you are, let's see, let me look at it here. So I actually have the code up on the screen, my screen over here. Well, the first thing you do is they sort of authenticate you to make sure that they're talking to the right server.
Right.
Which is good. and then each page has a token that they pass back and forth. And then each user has a unique token for each page. So each user has multiple tokens, can have multiple tokens. But yeah, so you make a call to their graph.facebook.com URL, and then it sends in the recipient and the message, and then from there you can you can have interactions go back and forth.
Right.
So I haven't gotten to the point where I'm still working through their example, because I'm not a Meteor. I'm still a noob on Meteor. So, but you're supposed to basically craft your message and then send it to their API, and then that is the app that you create, which is attached to a page that you create on Facebook. It's all very tightly integrated, but you go through Facebook in order to reach the user.
Right. Okay.
Because it's talking to the Messenger app on their phone.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stuff, the voice programming for Alexa stuff is you can use their servers. You can go through their system, or you can host your own kind of exchange kind of server, and then if you do that, then you have much more control over the interactions, as well as being able to use any language you want. Because if you do it on their system, it's like Node and like JavaScript with Node, and they support, I think, straight Java or something like that. And I don't mind JavaScript, but it's not my favorite language. And so it was neat to be able to kind of use an exchange and then use Lua to do it. Their stuff is all session based, so basically you send them a request from the voice device, and then it sends you back a packet of JSON with their identifier, and you can link a user up if you want to be able to constantly interact with them. You can store your data against their ID. And then it's just basically a simple concept of when you send replies back to the system, to their voice system, it's basically you can decide whether you want to make it a session or a one-time deal. And if it's a session, then you can have a conversation for 20 minutes if you want, or however long you want, back and forth. So there's people making choose your own adventure games and trivia and all these different things, because you can have these session-based kind of interactions. So it's kind of cool.
And you said this is what. So earlier you said Alexa.
Yeah, that's my play on Alexa
Right.
and Lua.
But what is this that you're describing? What is that?
Okay, so this I'm talking about basically the Alexa is the main kind of service that drives all these devices. So there's no device called the Alexa per se.
Oh.
Alexa is the voice kind of system that they've created. So what I was talking about is how you actually interact with that system, how they set it up. It's just a JSON calls back and forth. It's super simple. And then you can decide whether you want a long-term, to keep a session open and have a long-term interaction, or just a quick one, or, kind of like what you were saying about how you would set up on the voice thing where they would get to hear their 3 jobs, You could do the same exact thing with the Alexa. You could just say, hey, give me the last 3 forum posts, and it would read them off to you. Of course, you would build that system to grab that data, but same kind of concept.
Okay. So I'm at alexa.amazon.com. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, the voice system.
Okay. See, I didn't realize it was a whole.
It's an ecosystem. It's like a voice.
I just thought it was the device.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe the very first one. No, I think the very first one's called the Alexa, but I thought it was called the Alexa something. But now all the rest of them, you have the Echo, and you have the Tap, and then the kitchen board just came out, and then they got a bunch of stuff. They're integrated in all sorts of different places. And I'll tell you, man, the quality and the speed is absolutely amazing. That's pretty much what sold me. I kind of got it just because I was interested, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to keep it. But now that I've used it for a little bit, and I'm totally, it's like you were saying, it's there's certain things that just get you to geek nirvana, and this is one of those. I'm just I didn't expect it to be. Yeah, so that's this is the what you're looking at right now is this is where you set up all your stuff. Do you have an Alexa already?
No. I just went to the website, and of course I have an Amazon account, so I just logged in with my Amazon account.
Oh, so I guess it just shows you whether you have one or not. That's funny.
Yeah.
This isn't the dev portal, but this is where you set up your this is where you can set your settings for your devise. But it's funny. I was looking at your window here, and I was trying to click the new tab because I wanted to show you.
Well, that's the level of clarity that we have with Zoom, right? That's good. That's good.
I'm why is this window not opening over here? Anyways, yeah, you should check out the dev portal. They talk more about it.
Where is that?
And probably at aws.amazon.com. You can probably find a link there.
See.
But yeah, that's where you set all your stuff up. Yeah, so you have 2 choices. You can host you can host it through their system, and it's cool because they use their. I don't know how familiar with the different systems of Amazon they have, but they have one that you can basically run a one-off function. So basically, you're not running a server all the time. You're only getting charged for those exact compute seconds that you actually send that function, which is an interesting concept in itself. And of course, but that goes through their paid service. But again, you can do it. You can have your own third-party service. Oh yeah, that's their new refrigerator app.
Oh, that's cool.
I have to say, Charles, if you actually even ever played around with any voice stuff back in the day, you should definitely check this out, because I think that this, like what you had already just talked about as far as like for business and stuff,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, they've already, people are jumping on it like hotcakes. Like Domino's, I can order my Domino's pizza right here. I can ask for my weather. I can say, hey, is the tornado close to me? I can do whatever in it. And then it's got, some music services, and then it's got like tons of third party stuff because people are, making stuff. And so what I was thinking to myself, like, how could you make an application that would run on Corona SDK
Yeah.
that you could interface with your Alexa device?
That would be
I'm
cool.
just trying to figure out what, some of the use cases could be for that. I think that, the fact that there is, geolocation in devices is helpful. I was thinking, you could, I know these exist all over the place, but you could have your Alexa and ask where your kid is, and they could check their GPS or something, or different things like that, as well as obviously simple stuff like shopping lists or any kind of things like that, or if you got even tasking people, if you got somebody who, let's say you have a business and they're like Uber, and everybody runs off of their phones, you could have a service where you could utilize that to do dispatches and things like that. So
Interesting.
I think there's a lot of, I think this is just the beginning. It'll be interesting to see how this technology evolves, but I will tell you this technology is the future, and it's not going away, I don't think. I don't know so much about maybe the long term of this home automation stuff, but as far as voice activated stuff and
I think
technology,
I think we're it's like anything else, right? We're struggling for use cases. Like
right.
I have Nest, and I absolutely love Nest. I love that I can adjust the temperature of my home from anywhere in my house. I don't, I can keep working and not even have to get up. I like it learns, and I don't have to, I very, very rarely have to adjust the thermostat. I love that when I leave, I can turn it off, if I forgot, or if I've turned it, like way down or way up, I can adjust it before when I'm on my way back home.
Right.
Those types of things. And so that has a very clear use case. I think we're still kind of in that gray area. Like, I'm not going to go to the store and buy a $50 light bulb so that I can turn it on and off, right? But as soon as, let's say they do eventually finally put RFID tags on all of your shopping, your supermarket products, and you can put things in the pantry or whatever, and then your pantry can tell you that, oh, you're out of beans or crackers or whatever, right? At some point, now you're like, now this becomes useful. Really useful.
Yeah. Or you could have 800 Amazon buttons in your pantry.
I signed up for that. I wanted one of those.
I almost got one. I didn't do it though.
I wanted one of those laundry buttons.
Yeah.
I signed up for it back when I guess they were just giving them out, but it never showed up.
$5. What? They never gave it to you?
No, it never. They said that thanks, you've been approved or whatever, but I never.
Dogs.
I know.
Now they charge you $4.99, but you get it off on your first order.
Oh yeah. I think it's a genius idea. It's
really smart. I think that I could see it in limited. I guess for me that it would have to be kind of hidden away. If it was a visual thing and I saw these buttons all over the place, it would kind of bug me, just because the branding on it,
Right.
But if you can put it in your laundry room, you can stuff it inside your pantry. That I can get into.
Yeah, when we open the drawer or the door, and there's the laundry soap. Okay, if you mounted it on the inside, there, right? You're like, oh, I'm out of laundry soap, and you hit the button.
Yeah, in the commercial they have it like mounted to the washing machine. I would not do that.
Right.
It's not. Don't really need to see the brand of my detergent every time I walk in here. Yeah, no, it's interesting. We'll see where it all goes.
So talking about all that stuff like with Amazon, do you guys feel, I always feel like Amazon's idea that they have a different purpose than other people. Like their purpose is always to sell products.
The
To sell,
purpose is always the same.
to run ads, to sell, to get people, to use their other services.
Yeah.
And, that's not necessarily what everybody else does. I think that's using some of these. I can't remember. Did you say you have the Echo, or you just have
The Tap was the only one that was available.
Like through that kind of stuff, I always wonder if their roadmap is really like, will they start with Alexa and stuff like that? Will they start suggesting that you buy certain things, or you remind you about things? It's like, it's always, to me, I feel like they have a long-term goal, just like they did, I think, with their App Store. And they continue down that path, and with their devices. I don't think that they care that they make hardly nothing on selling a device, because every time you go to the home screen and before you get into it, there's an ad there.
Yeah, unless you pay extra money, of course, to remove the ad, which is kind of ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so I didn't know if you felt, or if either one of you, anybody on the panel here, knows people who have these different devices, and if they could kind of start to see, how Amazon is going to utilize it for their bottom line, how they're going to kind of use it as a marketing tool.
Are you saying, Mike, that you think that they're positioning themselves to be an ad provider?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always I don't want to say they want to be an ad provider. I think everything they do, they want to sell stuff. It's not even just that they want to sell. They're going to sell ad space. They want to sell stuff that drives them back to Amazon, what they, came up with a long time ago.
Yeah. It seems like I'm going to jump in here and give my 2 cents. It seems like they're always motivated basically they want you to think of Amazon every time you want to buy something, right? You don't even want to consider the other guy. You just want to be like, oh, I'll go get it on Amazon. And the only time that I've really seen them do advertisements and stuff is of course on the Kindle. And I think that they did that to try to offset this idea that they were giving it away pretty much for free. And trying to offset the cost of the manufacturing and stuff. But and it sort of made sense, right? Because it's a display. But I don't really see them as being an advertising company. I just see them as being, we want you to think of us by default every time, and then we want you to use our services.
Yeah, I definitely with I think that I know that when the Alexa stuff was first kind of talked about, there was a lot of especially with the 2 models that can always be on. I know that there were a lot of people who were questioning that and wondering if that was going to be acceptable to a consumer, because you got to think, I mean, in any case, you got an open mic connected to somebody else. I mean, I'm not super paranoid, but that's, I don't need anybody hearing all my conversations, and I certainly don't want the thing talking back to me if I don't ask it to talk to me. So that's certainly, so far I haven't had it. I mean, in my case, I got the Tap one again because it was only available, but now I've grown to like it because it doesn't listen automatically. I have to I have to activate it, but it's more of a portable device. It's made for that type of thing, and it's more aimed as a kind of a portable speaker, an awesome one, I should say, Charles. Sorry. And now down the line, as far as what other devices, I mean, you got to think, if you got an always-on device that can 2-way message, they could do the same thing they did with the Kindle. They could, when you turn on your device or at some certain time in the morning, unless you want to pay that money to get that off there, they might do that. But I have a big feeling that kind of intrusion is a little bit different than a visual intrusion.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't be sitting in your hallway and all of a sudden someone starts talking to you about the latest product. People are not going to go for that, I don't think.
Will they do that? Will they listen to you and record it, change it to text, and then start showing you ads and so forth based on that? So,
I certainly won't disagree with that.
I could believe that for sure.
Yeah, but I don't think that's any different than Google, and probably not much different than Apple. I mean, these guys have these intense algorithms that are they're basically, they want to push media to us that we want. There's nothing in it for them to push us media that we have no interest in.
Yeah.
And I noticed lately, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but on my when I go on Amazon, if you go to like this like the sales section or something, it's extremely uncanny, and it certainly isn't by accident. Most of those products that are on sale are products of my interest, and I find it hard to believe that those products just happen to be on sale that day, that happen to be of my interest. So they're definitely, I agree with 100%. Basically, Mike, what you're getting into is kind of just like, privacy, the comfortability level of how much data they're getting from you, but these are things that we suffer from all the time. I mean, Google's probably taken 10 times the data that Amazon has taken.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact of life.
The thing that you really have to be concerned with is not the fact that they're potentially going to push this stuff to you, but that to me, that thing to be worried about is that they're going to give it to you at a different price than somebody else, right? Because
I swear, when it brought up that list of things and they were 30-50% off stuff, there is no way that was the daily thing. I bet it, Charles, if you pulled up that same page that day, it probably would have been something different.
Yeah. Well, and of course the natural inclination is to think that they'll try to undercut. They'll try to get as many sales as they can by lowering the price, but
of course, try to get you on a quick flash sale,
But if you know enough about a person and you know that they really need this thing right now, then now you have motivation to raise the price.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. I noticed that I got hit up with that like after I'd ordered a few things. I had gotten the Echo. I had gotten some one of the 40, because they put out that tablet for $49. I couldn't believe it. It's a really awesome tablet. So I got one for my daughter, and then all of a sudden, of course, I'm getting all these very specialized sales and things that are related to these items, and they're all marked off dramatically. So yeah, they wanted to get rid of them, but yeah, you would think that they would want to raise the price, but I'm sure their margins are slim enough, and they just want to get that product out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, think about it. Most things that are for sale they're what they cost to make. It's definitely probably no more than 10 to 15% of what profit is made.
Yeah, and that
from a company.
And that kind of I guess you could call it predatory pricing or whatever. That kind of pricing would have to be very linked to your specific situation.
Yeah.
Because if you and I talked about something that we bought collectively and I got a much different price than you did, and Mike got a completely different price, then at some point we would all be upset.
That'd be interesting. Right? That'd be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we would be upset if we were
well, if someone was unfairly priced out. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah.
So, and I don't think that would be to their advantage at all.
Yeah, I've actually on my last two experiences with Amazon, they've messed up my order twice in a row, so I'm kind of gotta let them know they better slow down a little bit, pay more attention over there. Nah. I actually saw when I
sent you the wrong thing.
They 2 times they've sent me the same thing twice, and I've ordered 2 different items, but they end up sending me the same thing, and I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, a number of years ago when I was working for a company we went and visited this gigantic like a wine distribution center, and they had the same engineers that built the tracking system for Amazon had built their inventory system. And I don't know if, I'm sure you've seen some of the pictures of the internals of Amazon, of their routing system and their whole robotics. And man, that, I mean, yeah, like I said, I only saw, obviously a smaller version of what they're doing, but man, that thing is really cool. Like the whole concept of how these boxes just start flying around and hit scanners and make left turns and right turns, and products jump out of other boxes, and it's like there's only like 2 or 3 people there, and it's like this giant, gigantic warehouse, So
Yeah, having worked in a warehouse, it's perfect. Warehouse jobs are not sexy at all, So if you can get machines to do that, that's even better.
Yeah, as long as you don't lose your job.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's people who would be displaced, but
right.
yeah, they can become robotic engineers or something, robotic repair.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's good stuff. No, I don't know. I'll definitely check this out. I like the Alexa concept that you got going on here. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, if you got a Raspberry Pi, I guess actually Amazon gave the instructions on how you can actually build one with your Raspberry Pi, which is pretty cool.
Really? So you build your own Alexa?
Yeah, you can build your own Alexa. You got to get a little. They got a little micro USB microphone that you got to buy, and then you can just plug in any portable speaker. And they got the whole tutorial on Amazon. So
they don't care. They want you.
Yeah, you're right.
They want you to get in the system and start
voice.
selling things on their store. I mean, that's the bottom line.
I'm going to record you. I'm recording you right now, Mike. They're going to start sending you stuff.
Getting started with the Alexa skills kit, is it? No.
That's for the home automation. They have 2 different things. They have, because they're obviously partnering up with a bunch of
here we go.
companies, obviously so that work directly with the Alexa.
Yeah.
Or Alexa system. So yeah, like those, I got these they were doing like a big deal thing, and then I got 2 of these plugs. Those Wi-Fi plugs for the Alexa have come down to $22. So it was interesting because I can turn on and off my whole like entertainment system, which is kind of nice because I always forget to do that. So
yeah, so I just threw into the chat, and hopefully this is the same thing you were talking about. There's build a DIY Alexa device with a Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi. So was it? Now it was Amazon who put it up, right? Okay, but it was. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know. This is I grabbed piece of bags here.
But yeah, this is. I mean, this is it. Basically, yeah, Amazon.
Open the technology.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I actually that's why I bought my Raspberry Pi 3, and then I started looking into the whole thing, and I was like, I ain't got time right now. Unless I need to solder something, I think. I don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, if you got to buy a soldering iron for the project.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe not. They have, then I found cool, there's like this new tech coming out. It might even be out now. It's like a cool solder, and you like squeeze it out of a little tiny tube, and it like works just like a regular soldering iron, but it's just like a little glue, little gel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A conductive gel, because that's all you're really doing is creating a conductive link. Interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. It's funny. Yeah, so you can build your own. So there you go. Now you're all up to date on Alexa voice technology.
Well, we had a Benjamin, is it Benjamin Cabe?
Mm-hmm.
I believe so. Probably, I may be saying it wrong, but anyway, he did an IoT thing with Corona, and he was hooking to a greenhouse.
Oh yeah, I was on that. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, he was doing that through that open source project with I can't remember their name now. Yeah, that was cool. That was back in the day too, man.
Yeah, it's been a little while, but I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find. Look at here. Look it up here.
Yeah, I find all this stuff really cool and interesting, and stuff that I used to do.
Oh yeah.
All this kind of stuff like 20 years ago, but I find a hard time, getting the time to
Oh yeah.
devote to it enough that I feel like I could make a dent and actually achieve something without totally, getting off track with all my apps and
No doubt. Yeah, that's why it's like I get excited and I get these things. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do something. And then I kind of do a little bit, and then I realize, oh well, you know what? I got 10 other things I need to do. Get back to that.
Yeah. It was Corona Geek 86.
Yeah, it was. I know. I was looking at the archives the other day. I was like, whoa, time's been moving kind of quick.
Yeah, it has. I don't even think. I think when I went back and the link to his repo that he had, I don't think it even works anymore.
Yeah, that whole setup that one they were kind of doing upstairs, but they had they had like 3 different tools. They actually, one of the tools are still active. God, I'm drawing a blank on all that. I haven't looked at that in a while, but that was Jen who had pointed that out, and she had. There was God, what is it? It had a really interesting name. Anyways, their project's still active. That was what I was looking at first when I was going to see if I could connect up my Raspberry Pi, and but it's like some people like complicated things, and that's great, but I don't. And so
Right.
I was just like, I could throw up an instance right now of my little Ace server and be done in 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
There's a Mahini.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Mahini, is that what it is? Yeah, it has I know it starts in the M, and it definitely had a very cocktail-like name to it.
That's it. Yeah, I found it.
You found it.
One of the links in the show notes went to
okay.
the eclipse.org wiki.
Eclipse, that's right. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, Mahini, and then there was another like a component that went with it too, that kind of integrated in with one of the major IDEs. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I gave that a shot. I put that on there. It's interesting. They're using a lot of the lower level kind of messaging protocols that they use for kind of server messaging, more lower level stuff like Rabbit MQ and Zero MQ and stuff. And that stuff's interesting, but man, that stuff is also like so strange, because it's like a lot of that stuff is like just, it's not like like a TCP or a socket connection. It's just like it just sends a message out and like that's it. And it's like you better hope that everything else falls in line, because that's pretty much how it's gonna go. Or this message sitting here, you better get it. And you better read it right.
I've got a buddy here in Austin that he has these what do you call it? Skee ball machines. You know what I'm talking about? The chicken cheese and throw the ball and get 10 points or whatever. And
Love that game.
Yeah.
Me too. My daughter's birthday is coming up. We're going to Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, he's got these things, and apparently back in the day, these things are like, they're like automotive wiring. It's like it's real.
Oh yeah,
heavy duty wiring with these transformers and capacitors, and then whatever in the thing that would kill you if you touched them. Sort of,
right.
And but anyway, he's gone in and he's figured out how to hook up. He's got a. Which one is there's the Raspberry Pi and then there's the Arduino.
Mm-hmm.
One of them does, I think it's the Arduino, I think does signal. It captures signals, and then I think it's really good at processing signals and stuff. And then that passes it to the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi makes a web server call to his hosting on Linode or wherever. And then so anytime that you roll the ball, it goes through a mechanical switch. That mechanical switch then sends a signal to the display at the top of the skee ball machine to do your normal sort of digital display, and then really sort of an analog display of a bunch of dashes all making a 6 or a 10 or whatever. And then that board picks up a signal, and then figures out which one of the, because there's all these sensors that are sort of in line, and so when the ball goes from the top to the bottom, it's going to register multiple times, and then so they figured out how to tell which one of those is the score that you got, and then that passes it to the Raspberry Pi, which, like I said, goes to the web server, and then the web server, it puts it in the database and then sends it back. Goes ahead and automatically updates the score and everything. So anybody who has, like, they're using their phones to keep score, everybody who has that page up, it updates their page. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's a crazy use case, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So instead of a paper score, it's like like back in the day when they converted bowling from a paper scorekeeping to having it up on the display.
Screen, yeah.
Yeah. And now everybody can see the score. Everybody knows what's going on.
Right. Huh. Wow. So is this something is this part of like a bigger manufacturer, or something he has created?
No, it's something he's created. It's a zip tied to the inside of
Yeah. Only the best.
Right.
There's many manufacturers still pumping out skee ball machines.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen one that was made before the 70s.
Yeah. I'll test to that last one I saw. I didn't even want to touch it.
Yeah. That's the thing, is they have all, like you said, they have all these old machines, and so he's part of his business plan is to buy up all these old machines. And, they're like $10,000 a piece or something. So,
gee,
yeah. But you can, they find them in auctions, they find them in old establishments or whatever, and then just buy them up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting way of taking that and actually kind of bringing it forward into the electronic age, where, once Pac-Man and Defender and those games came out, that's keep scoring. You can see who has the high score.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that, put it in, it'd be kind of cool. They put it in a pub or something, and people could play against each other, and there could be a leaderboard.
Oh yeah, you got competitions and challenges.
Right now, the Full Circle Bar here in Austin, that's what they actually have. They have like 4 or 5 lanes. I think they have 5 lanes, and they have these skee ball competitions. They actually have skee ball leagues, and
skee ball league. Wow.
Yeah. Who knew, right? And so this one machine out of those 5 is kind of the prototype. It's the prototype. It's got, like I said, it's got stuff.
So he has it actually in an establishment, right?
Yeah. He has it in a bar here in Austin. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Have any of you had the opportunity to check out the Jackbox games? Mostly on Steam. Pretty ingenious. It's the guys who make You Don't Know Jack.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
What they isn't there big bundle sales right now? Or something?
So they're new bundle packs. Though the crazy thing that they do is that your controller is your phone, and the game just pops up and it gives you a 4-digit code to put in, which is your party room. And once you enter it, your phone is your controller. You just need a big screen TV to play. And a lot of their games are like 8-person, 12-person. There's one that's I think like 20-plus person games. So they've taken the party game and brought it to the accessibility of using your phone. A similar thing. I mean, less of a hardware structure, but it makes sense for the You Don't Know Jack guys. That evolution of party games that are very, write something down, are very verbal. They have a really cool drawing one where it's kind of like a Pictionary where everyone takes turns, drawing some silly doodle. Guessing what they are, but I'd highly recommend them. It's a great, amazing pub game, and I'm amazed that we haven't seen that take over like those old buzzword trivia shenanigans and stuff like that.
Right.
No one wants to hold those old tacky, clunky boxes to play the trivia at a bar. You pull out your phone, type in a web address, and you're playing right there.
Okay, well, you're lucky we're on private. I won't steal that idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I actually, now that I think about that, I'm surprised that I haven't seen that more often.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to bet that it's jackbox.tv. You can go, and that's like literally that's the site you go to. You type in your code, you put in your player name. Like I could stream it right now, and we could play it on this. Like it's so simple to get in on. I'm sure that they, as a company, are probably doing a lot to try to make it become the next big bar game, or the next
Yeah.
club game. So.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, man. If you go, I mean, I don't know if anybody here frequents pubs or whatnot often, but some of the games they have in there now, those little, countertop games, some of them are just, getting outrageous, man. And to have an idea like that, with a big screen TV and being people, using their controllers like that, or their phones to do that, that'd be cool.
And that's what the buzzword thing, the trivia company. I mean, they have probably hundreds of thousands of bars playing.
Right. Yeah.
The controller they have, like no one wants to put their hands on that while they're eating. Like I know my phone's probably dirtier and it has more germs, but it's my germs.
They're your germs, exactly.
So, seems like it makes more sense to make it.
Well, that's interesting.
I could do that in Corona. Like all the parts are there except having that server and site that respond to it for me. Just like you said, the hardware kind of just the infrastructure for that to make that happen really isn't that big of a deal. That's a website, or I mean the real challenge in something like a pub is how you hook it up to the TVs. Since most of those probably aren't internet connected, they're just basically streaming.
Well, that's where the Raspberry Pi comes in, because the Raspberry Pi 3's got built-in Wi-Fi and an HDMI cable.
So I just threw a link in the chat. Forbes published a thing that says 10 worst germ hotspots. And cell phones are number one.
All right.
Gas pumps are number two.
Oh.
Restaurant menus are number three. I don't get this one. Lemon and lime wedges.
What?
Oh, at like bars? That probably makes
Oh, yeah, because you got people grabbing them and squeezing them.
Yeah, they say lemon and limes are great for you, but never as a garnish. Like, interesting. I always thought that they would be too acidic for something to live, but they cite E. coli as a issue.
3 out of 10 of these are relating to restaurants.
Right. Yeah. So we got condiment dispensers, restaurant door handles, which I think is pretty much it's a no-brainer.
Obvious.
Yeah, and then
I always karate kick my way into the bathroom door.
Do you make sounds when you do it?
Oh man, everybody runs out so fast. They're like, "I'm out of here."
You're like, "Hoya!"
Exactly. And then I get like an instant freestyle. Like, there you go.
So,
you don't want to mess with a ninja that's got to use the restroom.
I'm totally doing that next time. I'm either gonna get a clear path, or I'm gonna get punched in the face.
Right.
don't even check to see if the cell door is locked. Don't even check if someone's in there. Just go for it.
That's right.
Oh man, that'd be horrible. Well, this Jackbox thing's pretty cool. I saw it they were pushing it on Xbox the other day, or PlayStation, I think. I don't know what it was. Yeah, and that whole idea about the multiplayer kind of localized gaming, that's interesting. I wonder, wasn't there a time when you could actually like sync 2 phones together through Corona? Like you could talk to them without a server?
I
thought there was at one point, I thought there was some kind of, somebody had put up some peer-to-peer thing. I don't know. Anyways.
You guys have played Space Team?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I think there was. Yeah, Space Team, but I think you still needed an internet connection, right? I mean, you
needed Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to connect multiple devices locally. It didn't ever go internet. Like you either were on the same Wi-Fi network and it detected them as like local shared connections, or you Bluetoothed them together. But I've always wanted to see something like that. Like,
yeah, it sounds interesting to me. I think the biggest part for me is like just knowing a little bit about networking. I could, if they would, there's all these like situations where they have to be on the same, network mask, and if there's multiple networks and one guy ends up on one and one guy ends up on another.
Yeah.
But if you could do a Bluetooth,
I mean, even with Wi-Fi, if you're talking about pub games or like a bunch of friends over at your house, Wi-Fi network would be more than enough to suffice.
oh yeah, absolutely. And that, in kind of a more of a close situation. I mean, in my, I think more. I brought that up. Like, I have two different routers. I have one for office and one for the house, but there are two different subnets. So if I'm trying to get to something in the house, I'm not going to be able to get there. So in bigger situations, I could see that being a problem. But yeah, definitely with like a pub that just like kind of had one.
Probably the minority in that situation.
Well, yeah, of course, but I can't help it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something that's certainly been growing in the past few years. Just in general, local multiplayer I think is coming back in a big way. Because after the more like big game dev companies have abandoned it, you're seeing a lot of these more experimental indies coming in and doing weird stuff with how you do local.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know how they pronounce it exactly. I think it's the Ouya, or the video, that little video game box, little Android box. Yeah. Which I played with for about 10 minutes, unfortunately, before it went back in the box. They do a lot of co-op games. Like, they have a lot of local player games. So yeah, I could definitely see how that could be coming back in a big way.
I think, speaking as someone who spent a little time trying to dev on it, it was one of those things that trying to make anything multiplayer in the Ouya online seemed like partially an impossibility, but also just like the odds of you getting the player mass necessary to have an active user base was not going to be likely. You wanted to ensure if someone sat down to play your game, that if it was multiplayer, that you had other players.
Right.
So that set-top box thing. I mean, that was kind of a necessity.
Yeah.
For Ouya, and I think for all of those micro consoles that are coming out right now.
Yeah.
You're right. You say that, and I totally agree, because I'm playing Clash Royale.
Yeah.
And one of the genius parts of that game is that no matter how quickly I hit the battle button, there's always somebody on the other end.
Yeah, well, that's Supercells. they're always going to have player mass, right?
Yeah. I mean, they've definitely got that. But you bring up a good point, though, because the game, I really like playing the game. But if I had a really awesome game, but nobody was on the other end, then it would be the same experience, right? It wouldn't be any fun.
But would they still hear you play? Yeah, no, that's always the big problem, I think. That's why as much as I am drawn to making multi-user games and multi-user stuff, it's at the same time, if there's nobody there, then it's kind of like a lot of work. So you kind of got to already have a good idea that you probably have a built-in user base of some type.
Yeah, there's so many great games on Steam that are just dead in the water because they're multiplayer only and don't have a user base to support them.
I tell you what, I love I love multiplayer stuff. I mean, I've spent quite a bit of time online, shooting other people. That's great, But I tell you, I also what I enjoy more, though, is sitting shoulder to shoulder to somebody playing a game.
Yo, absolutely,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, playing on the couch.
Probably most of us were came up in that era of video games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you didn't have no internet connection. It's like sitting with your Atari, man.
Yeah, and there's so many games that I like. My son and I can't play because
right.
You have a whole separate console and a whole separate whatever. He's going to be. We got to have a Xbox Live account on both ends just so that we can just play in the same room, and it's like, stupid.
It's funny. It's interesting that Microsoft seems to have ushered in the internet generation in terms of gaming.
Oh, absolutely. I think that when on the Xbox, they brought it.
Yeah, but then they abandoned local, which is, to me, kind of ironic because they were the first console, to me at least, with the first Xbox to really sell local multiplayer as like a core feature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Halo, they had a bunch of party games. I mean, before that, Nintendo was king in local multiplayer. But Microsoft went with its first console and really in the way of, hey, play with your friends.
Yeah.
As soon as they got internet connection, they're like, no, we were kidding. No, play online.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too had to do, because I noticed that, I mean, you can see the similarities to online video is that I think that the network got cheaper, the network got faster, and people started adopting that as a model. Because video was the same way for the longest time. I mean, you would go watch little postage stamp videos, and then all of a sudden it got fast, it got prevalent, and then there's YouTube.
Yeah. Which is totally an argument for when you start talking about what we spend money on, what the government spends money on, right? Like infrastructure should be number one, because I mean, and even backing it out just to private industry, Google is doing great to push the envelope as far as what am I trying to say? As far as for a paid product, right? I mean, because it pushes other companies to have to compete. Like none of the telecoms have to worry about that, because they're like, well, people don't know. But as soon as you open it up and there's more opportunities and people start to flock to that, then it's like, oh, well, we got to do that too. And then now a bunch of new opportunities open up. The things that we never thought that we even knew we needed. Now we're like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's the goal right there, is to invent something or to make something that nobody knew they needed.
Right.
That's how you make money, man.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard so Apple had their earnings call here recently, and of course they were kind of like, I mean, they made a ton of money, but they didn't wow Wall Street, and so
they're fired.
Yeah, they're fired. So their stock took a hit, and it dropped a little bit, and of course Tim Cook came out on CNBC or whatever, was talking about the future of things and where they thought they were, and he said, yeah, there's definitely a slowdown in devices, people buying phones and things like that. He says, but here's the thing is that there's still a big market for Apple to go after, and when you use a device, when you use an iPhone, you're just beginning the relationship, right? You're not just buying the phone. You're going to back up your pictures, and you're going to buy your music, and you're going to buy you're going to have all these other services that kind of go along with it. And once you're in, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
You're on a platform, you got all your apps, you got all your music. I mean, he didn't say it that way. He didn't say like, once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely an Android person, but my wife is iPhone, and yeah, you're absolutely right, man. She's tucked in all the way.
Yeah.
Getting out.
Yeah, especially apps. I mean, this is one of the things we talked about at the recent meetup. We were talking about Apple TV. Is that once you're, that Apple TV, the future of TV is apps. Just like they said at their presentation, right? Because I can take Netflix on my phone or my laptop or my tablet or my whatever, right? I don't need it on my big screen television,
right?
But if you put something on put apps on the television, now it has a new life. It has a new purpose. I can justify having it as a center point in my house. I wouldn't even say my living room anymore, but in your house.
And so this is what Apple was. This is what Tim Cook was relaying.
Well, that's what they originally said when they unveiled apps on Apple TV.
Okay. Because I was going to say, obviously that is being done. Obviously on Amazon Fires, TV Stick, right. The Roku has apps.
Yeah.
I just find the processing power. I mean, I'm not familiar with how good the Apple TV processor runs, but those little sub-top devices, I don't really get a lot of good power out of them for gaming. And it's kind of weird to use your remote control.
Yeah, the Apple TV, at least this generation of it, works really well. I've played some games where you're flying and you're avoiding objects and you're using a controller and
Cool.
and it the frame rate is good and it seems like it's a really good experience. I could see that
it could get there.
I could see it getting there to being sort of the console equivalent within a few generations.
Yeah, that's always the bar, isn't it? Hey, Tyler, you seem to know a lot about Steam. Do you know anything about the Steam machine? Is it coming out still?
Yeah, it's on its way. I have a couple friends that have been playing around with the controllers already, which are already out. The Steam box itself, I think they've had the early access folks have already had it shipped. If you search just like Steam box online, there's a bunch of official ones. You've got like Alienware, it's got a few. I think NVIDIA has one.
Tyler, your audio is like really, really low.
Yeah, we lost you.
I'm gonna keep my mic like right down my mouth, but
I think maybe your headphones may be doing some noise canceling magic or something.
Oh, you're right. They already got a bunch of Steam machines.
Yeah, they're already
Wow.
out, but,
Have you played with one yet at all?
I've played with the controller, but I haven't played with the. I mean, really, it's just Steam on a TV.
Right.
To me, the controller is the innovation. It's really the interesting thing. If you have Steam actually installed, let's see if I can screen share. Okay.
Wow. Why don't I buy this main gear for $1,100? Yeah, you got to be serious about gaming if you're going to pay $1,100.
I don't know if it's working. I get my screen share.
Yeah. We can see that. Yeah.
So that's what are you on now?
This is big picture mode. I just have it enabled on the computer just to show you, but this is their TV screen view. So you can kind of see it has like the different setups. You can kind of go through, look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've got the bumpers, left bumper, right bumper switches through these tabs, but I can just go to my library, look at what I have, what I've been playing. This is on my computer in big picture mode, but this is the OS they're using for Steambox.
Right, and that's cool, man. Looks good.
Quick, easy to use. Sometimes I'll run an HDMI from my computer to my TV.
Yeah.
Or when we do stuff like when we're doing like the Jackbox type of stuff, you just turn on this big picture mode and you're good to go. So
that's cool.
So wait a minute. Go back. Did that say 359 games?
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah.
Is that what you have?
Like,
but you have 29 installed.
He's like, and this doesn't even show the next page of the other 400.
Yeah. This is just the stuff that I've actually registered, right? I'm mostly a PC gamer, and you gotta understand like all the bundles and like humble bundles. And stuff.
Steam is great for that.
Yeah,
man.
I'll pick up a game in a pack of 20, and then I have 20 new games I may never touch.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I have a similar problem. I got to get back. I actually need to reinstall my Steam client. I'm PC gamer too.
We can still see your screen, by the way, just in case.
Anybody play the Hearthstone game? Or some people are anti-Blizzard, so I don't know.
Yeah, my roommates are huge addicts. I play a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty big into that right now. That and Heroes of the Storm is kind of fun. Ah, cool. So Steam machine, that's cool.
Yeah, we're working on a Steam plugin, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
I say we like I'm having anything to do with it.
Get to work, Charles.
One of the engineers is working.
I want to hear some keyboards tapping.
That's right. A moral support. I'll bring you some water or something.
I'll bring you some steam.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Your new update is I've been kind of predicting it for a while that they've gone set style, which is the same thing that Magic the Gathering's been using for going on.
Yeah, they're theming it.
Yeah, it's bound to happen because when you have 10,000 different card varieties over the course of 10 years of releases, you can't allow them all to be available at once. It just doesn't work.
No, and obviously of course, the metagame, and they got to break that up all the time. So people start figuring out the decks and the best setups, and they share them on the internet, and then you just lose every time. So I'm sure it's interesting. They got these, like, I'm sure you've seen it already, but it's not just the cards. They're adding they have like a little expansion pack where they'll give you, like, a whole new, like, setting and different characters and stuff. And it's interesting. I like it because it's casual. Magic, I would probably, my head would be spinning in 10 minutes.
A little less on the casual end.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfectly sized down for what it is. But one of the things that really impressed me the most of how Blizzard decided to do it is they've made it so device centric.
Yeah.
So Magic doesn't have a lot of random. It actually almost has no random, because random with physical content means you have to have some way to randomize, right? You need to flip a coin, you need to bring dice, you need to have something to decide the random factor.
Right.
Hearthstone can go full random on almost anything, right?
Yeah.
This card draws a random one of 3 magic things, or it does one of these 3 effects, and it gives them a lot of the ability to do that.
That's a good point. Yeah, they have a lot of, like, and then they use cards for combos and things like that, which is kind of cool.
The other big thing that Magic has done, but it's always been very poor, is that some cards have one of 2 effects. It does this or this. You as the player choose. But that's a real pain with a physical card, because how do you represent which one you chose?
Right.
You tear the card in half and show the card the half you want, right?
Right.
Magic, it visually transforms from what it was, or Hearthstone, to what it's now become, and there it is. You've had
right.
So they've done a great job connecting all of those systems and making it fit for PC and mobile.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. The Gathering's online now. Is online too, right?
Yeah, but it's
not as good.
See, again, it's made for the physical form.
Right.
Unless they completely redo 20 years of history.
Right.
They're kind of stuck in their ways.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, well, and then of course you can't say anything bad about the amount of production value on Hearthstone. It's just ridiculous. Some of the new cards, the 3-dimensional work they're doing on them is just top notch.
So I never got into Magic. So
that's because you didn't want to lose the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, well yeah, this is true. I don't get into a lot of things for that reason. But what's the soundbite summary of the game? What's the draw? What makes people want to play it so much?
Hit it, Tyler.
Yeah, you build a deck out of all the cards that you own, and you play against your friend, and the hope is that the deck you've built and the way you play it will outperform. I mean, it's very simple as a deck builder.
That's
any sort of deck builder, but
that's Clash Royale.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
it's variation.
It's more reflex focused, though, right? It's more spatial and kind of twitch. Whereas something like Magic, you have as long as you want. It's poker. It's chess. It's more of a slow strategic play.
And each card, will have different effects, and I think, and they have, like, on Magic, it's got like hit points and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So it's like an RPG maybe.
Well, but that's the same. I mean, I'm just being silly, but I'm also being serious. Is that in Clash Royale, you have a deck and you have cards in it, and then you pick your lineup of what your players are going to be, and they all have hit points and damage and all that kind of stuff.
Very similar.
And then you're deciding during gameplay, you're deciding which one of those to throw out next based on how much elixir you have, right?
On the core level, they're the same. Like on that rudimentary what they are. I agree that it is both deck building games. The difference with Magic is you're talking about a 30 to 60 card, like a 60 card deck or 40 card deck with some amount of permutations of cards there, some 20 to 30 different cards there. Whereas Clash Royale, you're talking about 5 cards, 6 cards that you have in your your play space?
You have more. Well, you have more than that. Well, oh yeah, in your play space, right? And then you're in the deck
Yeah.
that you're building, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you
Yeah,
have.
no, to choose from, you have maybe close to 100. But here's where Magic and soon to be Hearthstone have the problem, and actually Clash Royale will have this problem eventually, is that in order for them to keep providing new content, they have to provide new card types.
Yeah.
Magic's problem has been that it's been going on for nearly 20 years. After 20 years, you can't continue to offer all of those cards. You have 10,000 different card varieties. How do you ensure there's no game-breaking plays? So what Magic's done and what Hearthstone has done is that you have sets. You have the first 20 that we released with, and the ones we've released with in the past year you can play with, but nothing in between. It's what Magic does. It's what Hearthstone does. It's what a lot of these games that do this content structure of like a deck, that's how they survive, is they give you a very very hardened structure of what cards they'll let you play with in the ranked play.
Yeah, that's what Hearthstone just made a big switch. They have like they've added 3 modes now where like you can only play with, original set, you can only play with, this set. So yeah, I could see how that makes sense. Yeah, that's always the thing about whenever I think about, because I've actually prototyped a number of card games like that because I really love that. I actually released one on Amazon a number of years ago. I don't even know if it's still there, but yeah, that's always the concern. It's like, how long can you keep content fresh? How long can if you're gonna build a game like that requires fresh content, you don't want to be one developer trying to take that on unless you got a good system worked out.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that Magic is like, Charles, Magic is kind of like the super, like uber mega, and then your Casino Royale is probably your casual.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sitting in the John game.
What's sad about it is that in its day, Magic was the simple, easy to understand, straightforward game. But again, 20 years of evolving and adding complexity for your hardcore fans.
Yeah,
it's an unmanageable mess. I mean, it's similar to maybe World of Warcraft or something like that.
Right. Yep. And of course now World of Warcraft, since everybody was like, I'm not going to grind to level 90, now you can just pay for it, which is kind of weird.
So what? Now you can just jump the queue, sort of.
Yeah, if you now you can buy like level 90. So basically, yeah, you can go in there. I think you have to play to like maybe level 10 or something. I don't know what they change it all the time, but yeah, now you can just go in and they mostly did that to combat the all of the gold selling and character selling that was happening. It's like, why not they get the money and as opposed to some big farming company? I mean,
yeah, I always wondered that when I played, is that started happening, and
yeah, it got big for a while.
Yeah, and you started seeing all kinds of crazy stuff, and then I think then they had characters that just start off like I don't know how much you're into WoW, but like the Death Knight, when that came out with an expansion, it just started off like level 60 or something.
That's right. And everybody got all mad about that.
Yeah, so everybody's all pissed off because it starts off at 60. And
but you had to, because it was a new world, though, wasn't it? I mean, didn't it open up a new? Kind
of, yeah. But you still don't have to start off at level 60. I mean.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. No, I was just asking. I didn't know.
But I mean, I didn't really care because it didn't, like, that kind of stuff doesn't matter to me unless I want to play that character.
Right, of course.
But obviously, it's, they're trying to appease a lot of people, and got to that point where
I think
find out all the new characters.
Yeah, I think a lot of the just from what I've picked up, it seems like a lot of the, I'm sure there's plenty of hardcore players left, but it seems like they really kind of like are going for the casual crowd lately.
doubt
Yeah,
they can at this
I
point.
think they are, but their numbers are still astronomical.
Yeah, those people just make money like water.
I mean, it's just boggles my mind.
It is. If you actually, if you even just think about, if you just do the math for a year, you're just like, oh my God. And that doesn't count all the other things they got going on, I mean, those card packs for Hearthstone are definitely, priced right, right where you will buy it. But man, it can sting if you buy too many.
How much are cards?
Depending on how many you get a tiny discount over. So they basically have like multiple packs. So like if you want a 10 pack, I think it's like $4.99.
It's five cards per pack.
Oh, that's right, 5 cards. Yeah, so it's $4.99 if you get the 5 pack.
So it's one pack for $1 essentially. So 5 cards, guaranteed at least one rare. And of course, their rarity scaling is like less than 1% for the legendaries and the really hard to find cards.
Yeah, I finally got my first legendary. I was like, wow, I've never even seen that before in my life.
The smart thing that they're doing, and this is actually, it's kind of similar to the Korean and Japanese gachapon style games, is that you can then convert cards you already got or cards you don't want into this dust, which then you can use to craft the card you really want.
But man, it seems like you get ripped off.
No, absolutely. But I mean, that's the gachapon. That's the lottery style system. Is that it's better off to just keep buying more and hope to get the right card. But if you're really playing like, I want one specific card, I really want this one rare, you can just dust a bunch of cards. You can get rid of a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And get the small amount of resource and build up enough to purchase it. It's a pretty wise way to go about it from their side as developers. But obviously, as a player, you never want to lose things. You don't want to go negative to gain one card.
Right.
20. It feels bad, but it's possible.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is a cool system. I just felt that it was, I mean, maybe I was being greedy, but it just seemed like you just got nothing. You throw a card and just get drips of elixir. I'm like, oh, wait, maybe I wanted that card. But yeah, it's cool. I wonder if they're ever going to do card trading. I doubt it. Didn't they have? I think at the very beginning no, that was Diablo. Never mind.
No, they have. Nope. No, I don't think they will.
Yeah.
And this is
Diablo shut theirs down.
This is all through the online piece, right? You're talking about. I know we're talking about the original 20 years ago. The physical.
We're talking about
Hearthstone,
different game.
It's all digital.
We're talking about kind of the new.
Okay.
Kind of casually.
But it's all online.
It's not online. It's on. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you can PC. Yeah, it's online. Yes. Yeah, PC client. It plays on your iPod or your iPad, and it looks amazing. It plays on your Amazon. Looks amazing. Kindle. Even plays on my little Nexus 5.
I play Hearthstone on S4, no problem.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I think what they end up going with. I think they ended up going with the Unity engine, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's the first time Blizzard's gone non-proprietary.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, people were like all tripping on it.
You figure they were just thinking they could repurpose something and then not have to have the engineering team or something.
Well, what was interesting about Hearthstone, it was actually it was like kind of like a little sub team. Like they just broke out. Like I think I was like at the very beginning, I think it was only like 3 or 4 developers just kind of playing around with the idea, and then it grew from there. So I don't know what they ended up with as far as like now what the production team is, but I highly doubt it's just the 3 people.
Right. Yeah, you started out as a we call that like kind of a grassroots project to see if it has any traction.
Yeah. They were
there you go.
Yeah, they were just messing around. But yeah, it's a fun game, and yeah, it's multiplayer, so it's like you get in challenges, and if you're like me, you'll get your ass whooped every time, but it's still fun.
Yeah, well, that's why I like playing Royale.
I actually had a good run one time. I had built a deck that I had found online. Of course, that's kind of cheating maybe, but and I was whipping butt for a while. But after a while, your deck sets like will stop working because the metagame will change and people will start doing it different ways.
Interesting. So is that the goal, is to find that combination that's like
Yeah, and of course, the thing is though is like you're not gonna obviously don't know. The only thing you know about your other opponent is their class, so you can have a general idea of kind of what maybe their strategies might be if you're following the metagame. But yeah, I mean it's pretty random. I mean the idea is to get your it's just like anything. It's like poker or anything. You're just trying to.
What would keep somebody from making a variation of this game where you got squirrel and turtle, and you have all these these little characters, right? That you do a character design session and you come up with all these cute little characters, and then each character has skills and whatnot, and then you do the same thing.
And you call a Pokemon.
Oh God. Here, let me just describe Pokemon.
I think it's one part. The same reason for Clash Royale's popularity. It's one part brand recognition, and one part the amount of time and money that they can actually sink into ensuring that the game's well balanced and well polished.
Yeah, definitely. Now there's a whole bunch of. There actually is. This is actually a huge genre. This whole card deck building.
Deck builders.
Yeah, it's a big genre. You go to Target and they got like a whole aisle of them. Yu-Gi-Oh and My Little Ponies. I mean, I'm not even joking.
That's good. That's good.
Digital Space Congregate's actually been a company that's been doing a lot to kind of see that through. They have a lot of deck builders. Yeah, they're both on Congregate on the website, and now Congregate is a mobile publisher as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which is interesting because Congregate's owned by GameStop, so.
I didn't know that they were owned.
I didn't know that either.
GameStop. Huh. Yeah, they had a booth right next to us at GDC.
Yeah, I went and spoke to them. They have a lot of pretty good games for mobile, and they're one of the, I think, more interesting publishers for small indie devs.
Oh, they've been around forever. They were like they pretty much kicked off the whole Flash gaming thing. At least at my time when I was doing Flash games, they were like them and
Armor and Addicting Games.
And then there's one other one. There's the one that is definitely not doesn't care really about what the content rating is on your games.
Oh, Newgrounds?
Newgrounds, yes, yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
it's fun because like a lot of great games have come out of Newgrounds.
Yeah.
I mean, Meat Boy first started there, and you got like Alien Hominid and a lot of little indie devs that are now quite successful.
Yeah,
that got their start there as well.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a cool place. Just you got to be careful what you click on.
Not safe for work.
Chris, I didn't know you did Flash games.
Oh, I did Flash for 15 years, man.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did Director before that, and then Flash. I was one of a handful of people who was one of the first people to work with networking Flash on one of the first versions of ActionScript 2, and had some of my stuff featured at Macromedia conventions. So yeah, I used to be a big time, but that was before they were Adobe.
Right. Yeah, when they're still.
Chris, you also did lynda.com stuff, didn't you, for Flash?
Yes. And then I taught Flash after I did, Flash for money. Wait, that didn't sound right. I taught it at lynda.com and did some curriculum. Almost wrote a book, but instead did the CD-ROM because it was faster. So yeah, I got a huge background in Flash. That's why I when things started changing, to the mobile space, I was like, okay, well, I gotta kind of figure out this whole thing out. And I had built a few things for some of those original pocket PCs, the HPs and stuff, and it was just a horrible experience to try to develop back then. And now it's just like night and day. But I took a hiatus and then came back in, wanted to get back into programming, looked into a bunch of stuff, and because I had started using Adobe came out with Air, and that was kind of their mobile thing. But they just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I started digging around, man, and I found Corona, I found Love, I found a couple other engines, started looking into them. Corona won.
Yeah, and Chris, I don't know about you, but I did Flash because I'm kind of have a web development background,
Oh, cool.
um, and when I found Corona and I started doing Lua, of course I had already heard about it through WoW because some of the interfaces.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
But when I really actually got into programming, wanted to get into the mobile space, what I found was that like ActionScript 1 or 2 seemed so familiar to Corona.
Yeah.
To Lua.
Number 2, for sure.
And that made it real easy for me to then take a lot of that knowledge and understanding of, kind of, I don't know, just to have kind of a base to build off of. So I would suggest there's a lot of Flash developers out there, especially that came through Flash 2, that Corona is a slam dunk to kind of.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I didn't realize, how much, even obviously it's diminished immensely, but there still is a pretty big Flash development community out there. People are still doing it, And you're right, that is an interesting angle because it is a really nice parity between ActionScript 2 and Lua. And yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's what made it. That's kind of, pretty much what solidified my decision was like, wow, okay, this is very similar to how I can just create a display object in Flash and, move it around. And yeah, no, it's cool. But, of course, most of that is the actual layering of Corona SDK on top of it. But, Lua itself, obviously, as a language is cool.
Yeah, I started my Lua on Love.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Before I moved to Corona back in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And
cool.
and I used ActionScript too back in the MX days, like 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
They're probably it's kind of odd all three of us here talking about coming from.
Well, that shows an interesting point that may be a group of people we should be targeting.
Well, Corona started. That's in its first few years when I started using it. That's what their front page, it's Flash for mobile, right? Like that was the pitch. So,
well, I think didn't Walter work on the Flashlight team? I think he worked on Flashlight, like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think there.
I thought he did.
Yeah, there's.
It was either him, maybe somebody else.
Yeah, they came from Adobe.
Yeah, somebody had come from there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I looked at action scripting back in the day, but I just never got into it.
Yeah, if you didn't have a use case,
right at the time, I totally didn't.
Yeah,
but I used Flash extensively.
When I started off, I actually started off back using Future Splash.
Yeah,
which then Macromedia bought and renamed Flash.
Yeah.
So I actually was at the ground level even before they got it.
Yeah, I wasn't Future Splash, but yeah, it was the first. I was in there the first release of ActionScript. ActionScript 1 was crazy because you had to do it all in like running frames, and we were pushing the limit with data stuff because my friend was a database engineer and I was doing Flash stuff, and we pulled off some pretty interesting like data stuff with the ActionScript 1, and that was when Macromedia was like, whoa, hey, can we show this at our convention? I was like, yeah, sure. So that's cool. But I'm glad those days are kind of gone because development's a lot easier now. Now it's just trying to figure out an idea,
Yeah, well, and market it.
Well, yeah. I personally, I don't believe in any such thing. In my experience that I've had so far, it's been completely random and luck of the draw, man. When I first started with Corona, that first year, I made about 60-something games for the Amazon platform, and I didn't have an iPhone or anything, and it was like their first year of the Kindle Fire, and that Christmas was like one of the first, whatever they call it now, Digital Week or something, and made quite a good amount of money. And I stuck with them all year. I didn't put out anything on iPhone, and you just get up every morning, look at the Amazon chart, see what's trending, and start working on something like that. And with Corona, of course, I could pump out a game in 2-3 days. Be on the store. I used to be able to publish so darn fast. It was silly.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, a lot of them were crappy. I just had started. I just wanted to, learn or whatever.
Yeah.
So, nothing to be super proud of. But if I made some stuff now, I'd be pretty stoked. Just because I've learned so much, since then. Like, this is probably one of my favorite ones that I made. But I want to redo this one someday, but I don't know when that's going to happen.
Are you screen sharing with us?
Oh, I'm sorry. I put the link in the.
Oh, you put the link in the
chat. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to.
It's okay. Castle Runners.
Try to figure it out. So yeah, this is just like a card kind of thing where it's like you just had different cards, and you could, you basically, it's like a little like relay race, and you're trying to keep your opponent from winning, and then you can spawn little monsters and stuff to stop your opponents, and then there's all these different cards I made, and then actually there's a cool company online that will make physical games, and I actually had this whole card deck made and little token pieces and this playing board made at one point in time. Unfortunately, when I moved, I lost it. But yeah, this is using different particle effects, and I'm sure you've seen these little characters before. These are those free characters that you can. I think they're even on the Corona site.
These are cool.
Yeah, I really miss. I really want to. What I really wanted to do is make a huge multiplayer game.
Is this one of the games that you count as a crappy game, or is this one of your better ones?
You think I'm going to show you my crappy games? Come on.
Well, I'm just saying.
You got a rep to protect, man.
I was just saying, if you're like, here's one of my crappy games, I'm like, well, are you kidding me? This is good.
I'm like, I got a rep, man. What are you talking about? Just kidding. No, that's just one. Happens to be one of my favorite ones, I think.
Okay.
That one, and then let's see, that's another of my favorite ones. This one is. This one was cool. This is, this is pretty obvious. I might even have got this. I think I might even have got this template from, what's his face, Ed, if I remember correctly. This is just a little match 3, just with some cocktails.
Oh yeah, like a Corona Crush sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of Corona Crush. Kind of cool. But these are just all kind of learning how to use the software and just different concepts.
I like these. I like these icons. I don't know why.
I get so this right here was not built with Corona, but this was my last Flash project. Now it's got some horrible ratings because it doesn't run on any of the new devices. This was built for the original Fire. And unfortunately, it's all built in Flash and stuff, and I don't have the original source files, and so people have asked me to update it, and I just never really have. So, and I've always been constantly asking, Corona, hey, can we get some dual audio support? It's it's totally possible. I can do it on a first generation Fire. It's and but for some reason we're restricted to one streaming channel as opposed to multiple.
What so what is this streaming? What is it streaming music?
Just takes your music on your device and basically gives you a DJ setup. You can go rock the party if you want to. It's got a split output, so you can have one earpiece, and then the other end goes into your speakers. Speakers coming out. You got crossfading. You got tempo mapping. You got all that stuff. My best friend was a DJ for a long time, so I've hung out with a lot of DJs. Yeah, it got picked as like this was the first year it got picked as like a top app for the week at one point in time.
Nice.
And this one was fun, man. And as soon as I started Corona, this was the first thing I was going to do. And then I found out I couldn't. I was like, dang it. Whatever.
Gotcha.
Anyways, there's a little show and tell for you. It's just to show that I actually do make things.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end the show.
You're probably right. Well, I've had a great time speaking with y'all.
Yeah, same here.
Been a while.
Yeah, same here.
Hopefully next time I'll get my camera fixed. Got to get a little hub. And I hope you guys all have a good week and weekend. And I'm going to jump.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
All right, you too. Later.
All right, see you guys.